The god of all Pokemon has a pretty infamous name. Some people call it Ar-kee-us, and some people say Arceus instead. So what's up, fellas? My name is Matt, and today we're going to talk about the history of its pronunciation, and explain the logic behind each option. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and this Pokemon's name is usually pronounced Ar-kee-us in official content. Alright, looks like we're done, case closed, go home.
Yeah, not so fast, don't you dare open up Borderlands again. The story isn't as simple as that.
Alright, so we should start by talking about where that pronunciation comes from.
Tom Whalen started working on the Pokemon anime's English dub in 2008. He played human characters like Flint and Reggie, as well as Pokemon like Ash's Goodra, Iris's Excadrill, and Ar-kee-us itself. He also served as the English voice director for the show, up until Teresa Buckheister took his place in 2015.
As the voice director, Whalen chose a pronunciation with a hard C sound, because otherwise this Pokemon's name would be pronounced Arceus with a soft C. The beginning of its name would sound like arse, which is a British slang term for your rear end. That's a fair concern because Pokemon is meant to be a family-friendly show, so they eventually settled on Ar-kee-us instead.
When the Pokemon anime is dubbed into English, they create one version for the entire English-speaking world. That means when Wayland is making decisions like this, he has to take many different English dialects into consideration, so that's how he ended up with a hard C sound in Arceus' name. This decision wasn't made right away though. Arceus is the pronunciation you'll find in most official English Pokemon media, but the Pokemon Company has used at least one alternative. Pokemon Battle Revolution came out just a few months after Diamond and Pearl, and that game's announcer calls it Arceus.
Arceus restored its health.
People have also pointed out the possibility of a third pronunciation. In 2009, we got a new Pokemon movie called Ar-kee-us and the Jewel of Life. In one trailer for the movie, some people hear the narrator say Ar-kee-us, which is different from both of the most common pronunciations you hear today. Here's the clip, by the way.
While the battle among three of the mightiest Pokemon ever known rages on, Ar-kee-us awakens.
It kinda sounds like Arceus, but we don't fully buy it.
The exact pronunciation the narrator is going for is kind of unclear in this clip. It kinda sounds like something halfway between Arceus and Ar-kee-us, and it's hard to tell exactly what he's saying, especially when there's background music playing. Either way, he pronounces Arceus' name more clearly in the same trailer.
Pokemon, Ar-kee-us and the Jewel of Life.
So if the narrator is saying Arceus earlier in the trailer, it was probably a mistake. In the movie itself, all the characters call it Arceus too.
What happened to Arceus 1?
That was a failed prototype. We just scrapped that universe entirely.
Oh, type null, I understand. That being said, there is some logical merit to all three pronunciations. Name origins are very rarely confirmed officially, but Bulbapedia includes educated guesses on each Pokemon's page. They're essentially compilations of the most plausible fan theories, and some of those name origin sections are pretty simple. As an example, Tadbulb's name probably comes from Tadpole and Lightbulb. Yeah, I can get behind that theory, mostly because we can't think of anything else it could possibly be.
In comparison, Arceus' name origin section is an absolute laundry list. Bulbapedia lists 2 elements for Tadbulb's name, but Arceus' section includes 10 possible elements from 3 different languages. The Ar-kee-us pronunciation is a reasonable possibility, because the K sound could come from chaos in that case. In Greek mythology, it's said that chaos was the first being to exist in the universe. In Pokemon mythology, Arceus is said to be older than the universe itself, so there would be a logical parallel there. Yeah, just for future reference, I did decide to include the, IPA in this script, just so I don't have to do it later. You can just ignore it.
The IPA?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you about the other day, the International Phonetic Alphabet.
IPAs are trash, dude. Anybody who drinks IPAs and actually likes them is a lot. That being said, Arceus is by far the least common of the 3 pronunciations. So let's focus on the other 2. Nowadays, this Pokemon's English pronunciation is usually Arceus because of the decisions Wayland made back when Gen 4 was just starting. But he's also acknowledged that Arceus was the originally intended pronunciation, and we can find evidence for that in several places.
Let's start with the Japanese version of the game, shall we? Arceus' name is spelled like this in Japanese, but we can also write it with the Latin alphabet. If we do that, it becomes clear that its Japanese name isn't pronounced with a K sound.
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
But Game Freak also creates romanized versions of each Pokemon's Japanese name, which are also written with Latin characters.
These Romanizatians.
No!
These romanizations are used in trademark filings, as well as official Pokemon material in Japan. The katakana that make up Arceus' Japanese name spell out that, but the official Romaji names are usually spelled differently. In Arceus' case, it's spelled Arceus, which is the same as the English name.
Whenever a Pokemon's English name is the same as the romanization, the English and Japanese consonants are usually as close to each other as possible. There are quite a few of those too, like Porygon, Togedemaru, Pikachu, and Roselia. Arceus' name was meant to be treated the same way, but Tom Whalen chose a different direction.
Oh my god, this script is so long.
It's 3.5 pages. This is literally half as long as the last one.
That being said, the pronunciation was changed for a specific reason. Official Pokemon material is held to a certain standard, so tweaking things to make them more family-friendly makes a lot of sense. But casual conversations and YouTube videos aren't held to the same standards. Game Freak isn't going to break down your doors if you say Arceus. Oh my god, they're coming for us!
One epic fight scene later. The Arceus pronunciation is also more consistent with English language conventions. Whenever you have a C followed by an E, the C will make a soft S sound instead of a hard K sound. There are some exceptions to that rule, but they're extremely limited. So if someone saw this name for the first time, they'd be more likely to pronounce it with a soft C.
Celtic.
Celtic is like the one example I can think of.
Arceus' name is the same in most other languages too. It's spelled the same way in Spanish, French, German, and Italian. Spanish and French also have hard and soft C sounds, and Arceus' name has the soft C in both of those languages.
Leyendas Pokémon Arceus.
Légende Pokémon Arceus.
So if Tom Whalen hadn't elected to change Arceus' name for the anime, the official English pronunciation would have most likely been Arceus.
So with all that in mind, how should its name be pronounced? Well, as you might be able to tell from our inconsistent pronunciations today, we don't think it matters. It's true that the Pokemon Company eventually picked preferred English pronunciation, but that doesn't automatically make every other option wrong. A lot of the time, people will just pick whatever they think sounds better, and that's perfectly fine.
Matt made a video a few years ago which goes into more detail about why proper pronunciation doesn't matter, so check that out after this one. At the end of the day, it's night. At the end of the day, the point of human language is to be understood. If two people are having a conversation about Arceus and they happen to pronounce it two different ways, they're still going to be able to understand each other.
A lot of regular words have more than one valid pronunciation. Elias and I have been friends for over 10 years, and we've been doing this style of video for 2 years. Over that time, I've noticed a lot of differences in how I pronounce certain words. I say either, but Elias says either. I pronounce the vowels in cot and cot the same, and Elias doesn't. For reasons I do not understand, the fact that the cot-cot merger exists drives him crazy.
You're wrong. This entire video is wrong. You should come out from this video not knowing a single thing, because if you don't pronounce words like me, you're doing it wrong.
Extremely loud, incorrect buzzer. There are tons of other words you can say more than one way, and Pokemon names are usually treated like that too.
Arceus' name has been pronounced multiple different ways in official English Pokemon media, and the same goes for many other species. Sometimes this guy is Mantine, as in marine, and sometimes it's Mantine, as in brine.
Go Mantine!
Mantine, the kite Pokemon.
Mantine!
When you make a franchise like Pokemon where everything has made-up names, there's going to be a good deal of variance when it comes to pronunciations.
Fans will often choose whatever pronunciation they think sounds better, even if it's never been used officially.
Ferrothorn!
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that sounds absolutely horrendous. Many fans use unofficial pronunciations for names like Ferrothorn, even though they know the Pokemon Company chose something else. The same way most people don't say Ferrothorn, they don't have to say Ar-kee-us either.
Sometimes when people are talking about Arceus' name, they'll point out a few things in the Pokemon world that are named after it, like Silvalley's ability Ar-kee-us system, or the Arc phone. You wouldn't say Arceus system or Arce phone, so why would you pronounce the Pokemon's name Arceus? The problem with this argument is that words can be pronounced differently when they're modified. You're an arse.
Wow.
Not letting me play Borderlands, SMHMH.
Shake my head, my house?
No, just shake my head.
I'm just messing with you, man. Elias and I are always looking at baseball players' stats or statistics for long. If you're into lifting weights, you might do exercises to grow your traps, which is short for trapezius. In both of these examples, the A makes an A sound in the shorter word, but an sound in the longer word. Heck, my own first name is Matthew, but I go by Matt as opposed to Math. The T sound completely different when you shorten my name.
There are tons of other examples out there too. Serene can turn into Serenity, Music can turn into Musician, and Combine can turn into Combination. So if you ask us, Arceus is still a valid way to say it, even though there's an item called the Arc phone. Pronunciations are more flexible than a lot of people make them out to be. Tom Whalen isn't the boss of you, so screw him.
Okay.
Tom Whalen isn't the boss of you, so you can say Arceus' name however you want. If you decide to call it Archees, who are we to stop you? But also, those rules are like not good at all, because Caesar starts with C-A.
Well, in Latin, it would be pronounced closer to Caesar.
Yes, it would be, but I don't care about that. He invented a bad salad. Whatever you say, Bud, Billy Bud, Buddy Boy, Budweiser. Sorry.
What is it with you and beer today?
I don't know, you were talking about it.
You brought it up!
You brought up IPAs.
International Phonetic Alphabet!
Yeah, that's what you think it stands for.
What does the other IPA even stand for?
Bad beer.
It's not correct. You know, this is the first video we've done with this setup where your cats aren't causing chaos every 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're like sleeping downstairs. They're keeping my mom company.